Leading the way on air, online, and on the go. From WLWT, this is Issues.
Hello, everyone. I'm Courtis Fuller, and welcome to Issues. We have a packed show today, a lot of things to get to, but we're going to start with a familiar face, a familiar voice here in Cincinnati, and that is the jazz legend, I should say, Kathy Wade. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. Thank you for having me.
We talk about jazz and what you're doing. This summer, there is a program, Cocktails and Crown Jewels. The second year for it?
Second year. We started last year. It's in Smell Park on the Schmidt-Lap event lawn. My partner in jazz crime, Laura Gentry, and I teamed up together about 4 years ago when we were doing the Crown Jewels of Jazz Festival. That ended, and somebody walked up to us and said, hey, we'd like to do some programming on the Schmidt-Lap event lawn, and what do you think? So we put together a series last year, and it was a huge hit. So this year, we've been asked to come back, and Malad is celebrating their 60th anniversary and stepped up and said, we'd like to give this to the community as our gift for our 60th anniversary. And then the Moreline Lager House stepped up and said, we want to still be a partner with you. So we've got some great partners, the Cincinnati Herald, of course. We've got some great partners and a wonderful lineup. Laura Gentry has got the ear and the eye for jazz talent.
Well, she knows her jazz.
She does. And it's not just jazz. We expanded a little bit. We have everything from bebop to smooth jazz, neo soul to partying like it's 1999 with Soul Pockets. So,
and it really is a perfect location.
It's a great location
down by the river.
Absolutely, right on the banks. We have the Carol Ann's Carousel as our backdrop, the Suspension Bridge, and the Ohio River. You can't beat that. And then all of the wonderful work that's been done in terms of transforming what I used to call the tar pit into something very beautiful and very interactive for people to come down and enjoy.
And people should know, I mean, this is a new project for you,
Absolutely.
but you've been doing similar projects for
a while. Absolutely.
20 years at least, something like that.
Aren't you kind? Yes, my nonprofit is about to turn 25 next year, and it actually started as our signature fundraiser. We decided to take a look at our strategic plans and moved it off of our roster because it didn't really fit our mission. With that being said, I just couldn't let it die. It's got great graphics, good legs, and a good name. So, and being able to partner with somebody like Laura Gentry has been a really gift to be able to do it, to continue it, and to give the community something to do.
I've known you a long time, my entire time here in Cincinnati.
Yes,
I don't think I've ever asked you,
yes.
How did you get into singing
jazz?
Jazz?
You know, I can't believe we haven't had this conversation. Both of my parents are jazz aficionados. My dad loved musicians, my mother loved singers. I mean, they both liked each, the genre itself. But so in our household, you had to hear jazz. You knew jazz. You were raised on it. The first black DJ is Bill Fields Jr., who is my cousin, Mark Fields' dad. Exactly. Who had a show in St. Louis and one of the largest and most prolific jazz collections I've ever seen on vinyl. Okay, it was an entire wall.
What is that?
Exactly. But they were, it's just what was in the house. I mean, I got to hear Motown as well, but the jazz stuck to me. I could sing most of Porgy and Bess all the way through by the time I was about 8. So
I would imagine you listen to Sarah Vaughan.
Absolutely.
Who are some of the people that you listen to?
Carmen McRae,
Carmen.
Shirley Horn, Dakota Staten. Shall I go on? And the greats. You can't live without a Billie Holiday, a Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald. I still marvel at the acrobatics of Ella Fitzgerald's voice.
Right. And you got a chance to perform with Nancy several years ago.
Yes,
you brought her in, right?
We brought her in twice. We had Diane Shore twice, Dionne Warwick, Cleo Lane with her late husband John Dankworth, and Shirley Horn. One of the only times that we know Shirley Horn was in Cincinnati is when we brought her, and it was an incredible show. So, it's wonderful to live the dream on the stage as you perform, as I am given the opportunity to perform, but it's even better to bring it to somebody else, so,
Obviously, you've recorded.
Absolutely.
What haven't you done? What is on your bucket list to do? And then we'll talk about cocktails and Crown.
I don't know, because I've had so many great opportunities that I think for me, and I will eventually come up with a bucket list, I'm sure. There's something that I'm just dying to do. But I have to honestly say that I wake every morning and know that it's another opportunity, and you have to be open to it. And that's probably the biggest lesson I've had to really learn, is to just be open to the opportunities.
Cocktails and crown jewels. We have some photos of this. Starts June 2nd.
Yes.
All right. Take us through the
I will.
the lineup.
Wow. It's going to be here featuring Tim Warfield and Bobby Floyd on Hammond B3. That's being presented by Jazz Alive. And then we have the band Carlsboro Natty 6, which you can see is filled with some very prolific jazzmen here in Cincinnati. And then out of Louisville, Kentucky, Jessie Lane Powell Quintet is going to come up. Phenomenal jazz vocalist. I think the area is going to love her. Soul Pocket's coming down to rock us on July the 7th, so that'll be fun to do around the 4th of July. July 14th, Mike Wade. No, we are not married. Everybody asked me that question. Mike Wade Quintet, fabulous trumpet player. He is. He's a wonderful, and Standard Time's going to be with him that day. French Axe with Sylvain Archet, French jazz. So for those of you who want a flavor of Paris, please come down. The Hunter Tones are going to join us. The Hunter Tones, if you have not YouTube them and get ready to dance. They are amazing. Ingrid Wood and the Wood Tribe Orchestra. I know her parents, so this is like, oh my God, they are fabulous, absolutely fabulous. And then we have Grammy winner Harvey Mason's coming. Harvey's actually on my CD, so he'll be here. And then the last concert, I'm going to be with the Phil DeGreg Trio.
Excellent.
So, yeah, it's quite a lineup. We're very happy about that.
Will you perform every week?
No.
I didn't think so. Just the last one.
And I don't generally, when I produce, I don't generally perform on the series. But the presenting sponsor requested, and so it's their 60th anniversary, so we said sure.
It starts June 2nd. It runs through
September 1.
Wow,
yes,
look at that.
So 10 weeks. Please join us in Smell Park Schmidlap Event Lawn, 7 to 9, and it's free. It is absolutely free. It's a great date night. That's how we talked about it last year, and a lot of folks came down and had lovely dates and dinners. So
that's good. You
can either pack your dinner, or you can walk up to the Go and Grab bar at Moorline, and
Always good seeing you.
It's always good to see you. Thank you. Hi to the family.
I got some questions, and
didn't you never had a chance to ask?
I know. We'll be back in a moment.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Courtis Fuller. This next segment, we're going to talk about an interesting project that's taking place. It's a program called She's Healed. And Victoria Morgan has been on this show before. And your project has expanded a bit. First of all, welcome back.
Thank you.
Explain what She's Healed is all about, and then we'll get to.
Okay, so originally the focus was specifically for women who had been in domestic violence and abusive situations. That was what we started with, and over time it has definitely evolved to where we're not just working with women, we're dealing with men and children as well.
You were telling me you were actually going into one of the prisons, and I would imagine as this continues, you will be going into more than one.
Yes.
And you're talking to inmates about domestic violence and issues related to that. Talk about how this all came about and how receptive they've been to you.
Yeah, actually, I was at work. I got an email from the Marion, Ohio Men's Prison about their domestic violence awareness program. And I guess they'd seen me on one of your shows, and they were like, hey, would you be interested in coming up here and speaking about domestic violence? And I was like, of course. And the day before, the lady emailed me back and said, hey, are you aware that this is a men's prison? And I was like, actually, I was not. So it was a bit interesting. The prison is actually minimum security. So as soon as you get through the first set of gates, the inmates are just out and about. They're just walking around everywhere. And it was a bit, I guess, intimidating, for lack of a better word, because obviously you think prison, you think about your safety and well-being and all that. But they have a great program. All of the inmates are required to attend the domestic violence awareness program prior to getting or being released. And so we talk about everything. The last time I was up there a few weeks ago, we actually, for lack of a better word, like a role play to where I represented the woman, you know, the woman that they felt like had got them into trouble, or the reason they were there, or the woman they had to fight with. And we talked about what their triggers were. You know, what are the things that women say or do that make you react, you know, in the way that you do. And so we try to get to the root of their anger, their frustration. We talk about recidivism because obviously that rate is high. More than likely, most of them, after being released, will at some point return. So we talk about, how do the children feel? You know, how does the daughter feel with the dad being gone for however many years? And my children or my parents weren't in jail, but, you know, I experienced not having my mother. And so I talk about a lot of things from my experience to help them with their point of view as well. And it's been amazing. A lot of the inmates, I was told, that normally did not participate in the class, they're participating. You know, the men are tearing up. They're talking about emotional wounds from their childhood that caused them to go down this path of violence and everything. It's been great.
Will you, maybe this cart before the horse, will there be some, will they fill out some forms or something that you'll get feedback to develop this if you take it someplace else? Or I imagine even if you continue this there and another session, will they have that opportunity?
Actually, the last time I was there, they posed and asked if I would mind to be recorded. And that way, when I'm not there, because the class rotates with all of the inmates, they can still use my lessons per se. I've been invited to some of the other prisons. I'm kind of warming my way up to those because now I'm comfortable in the minimum security. It's a more relaxed atmosphere. I've had some moments where I may have been disrespected, but you know, it's not that much as I may encounter, you know, in some other places. So eventually, I do plan to develop a curriculum to be used elsewhere.
Your organization has really taken off. I know that you were up at the state legislature and you've done some things there. And I was asking you this before we started. You know, you go back 5 years or so, you would have never thought that it would have been at this point.
No, and I enjoy working with people. I love helping to better people, but I've always been a behind the scenes person. So to be out in the forefront, speaking to people, working on legislation, I would have never thought it, you know, but I thoroughly enjoy it, and I hope to eventually do my work full time.
Yeah. And proof for people out there who have ideas or have passions about certain things is proof that you can. You know, you just have to step out, make some contacts, and it just takes off.
Definitely.
If we should note this, if there is someone who needs information about domestic violence and resources available, you're one of those resources, but can they contact you, or what advice would you give them?
They can contact me. You can send me an email, v.morgan83@hotmail.com. We have a page on Facebook. I get a lot of messages there. Believe it or not, a lot of the work I do is someone just looking me up, reaching out and saying, hey, I need to talk. I've met people down at the waterfront, you know. I actually prefer that. You know, it doesn't have to be a large, grand scale arena. I enjoy just working with people and help, because I've been there. I know what it feels like to feel like you have nobody else that you can turn to. So definitely reach out.
It's always good seeing you.
You as well.
And when you told me about that project, I said, wow, we have to tell people about that. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We will be back in a moment. Welcome back. I told you it was a jam-packed show. We're going to shift gears now and talk about an upcoming conference. It is the Midwest Sustainability Summit. It'll be held June 10th. It's the Cincinnati Small Business Awards also over at the Centos. And here to talk a little bit more about that with me, Larry Falcon and Valeria Cummings. And first of all, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So tell me about this sustainability conference that's coming up.
So what we know is that Cincinnati is more successful as a city when we embrace sustainability. Businesses are more successful when they embrace sustainability. The big companies in our community get it and have been practicing it for a long time, but a lot of our small and mid-sized businesses need a little bit of help coming along and figuring out how to practice sustainability in a way that gets them into the supply chain for the bigger companies, in a way that it enables them to save money by being more efficient. And so this conference is really targeted towards helping some of our small and minority businesses get the competitive advantage that comes with being a green business.
And expand on that, because I was involved with it was a couple of years ago. I was surprised how little I knew how many companies were involved. I mean, you look out in the audience, I mean, as you said, small and large businesses involved. So that surprised me the most, what companies were actually doing here in Greater Cincinnati.
There's a number of large businesses, you know, Kroger, P&G, companies like that that really get it and have been doing sustainability, doing green initiatives for years and years. But we have a number of smaller companies that are, as he said, really getting it now and really getting into the swing of that. And that's one of the things that the Department of Economic Inclusion has been pushing, is that sustainability is something that needs to be included in a business plan that companies look at as they look at becoming more efficient, as they look at becoming more sustainable. And one of the things we always try to tell companies is that when you look at how you produce things, how you do things, you have to think about the environment as part of what you do, because we all have to live here together, so we have to figure out how to survive together, and we can't dump everything. So if you can come up with a way to sort of hold on to some of the stuff, or reuse, or figure out how to conserve or whatever, it's always a great idea.
And a lot of these ideas come from employees within the companies to say, hey, let's try this. And then they take it to company-wide. Is that the case?
A lot of times it is.
It is. What we find over and over again is that nobody knows the job better than the person who's doing the job. So if there's a better way to do it, when we talk about sustainability, what we're talking about often is eliminating waste in the operation. And that's good for the company financially, and it's also good for the planet when you're eliminating waste. And if you have somebody who's sitting there saying, like, they make me do the job this way, it would be so much better if I just did it that way. You listen to that employee, they probably know how to do the job that they're doing.
Now, I think there are a lot of workers who will say, but they don't listen to me. And that's where this conference, the summit, comes in to encourage businesses to listen. You know, Toyota is one example where they had a good model of listening to their workers and then implementing that throughout the corporation. And just to pluck Toyota out is just one example. There are other companies, but is that what you're...
And that's what they get out of this conference, because we have workshops and things that people can come to, and they get to hear ideas and get discussions going about what other people are doing, what other companies are doing, what people are looking at, how to implement those ideas. And hopefully they'll take some of those ideas back to wherever they live, wherever they work, the communities they live in, and get those discussions going. And
as you pointed out, size of a company isn't important. I mean, it could be a small business or a huge business like Kroger.
But what we find is most of the big businesses have people on staff whose job is sustainability and efficiency. Most of the smaller businesses can't devote a full-time person to that. And so good ideas sometimes come from within the business, they sometimes come from outside the business. And if there is in an industry a best practice that has been discovered, the idea of going to a place like this and finding out what the best practice is so that you can bring it into your own operation, that's one of the value of these kinds of conferences, is you can borrow somebody else's good idea.
Absolutely. Is this open to the public?
Yes, it's open to the public. You can go to the website and get registered. And one of the things that we want to also point out is that we'll be giving out awards to companies that have come up with some great ideas, have gone through the sustainability process. And the Department of Economic Inclusion offered a sustainability course that ran from September through April. And we had over 591 attendees that took part either in the webinar, the courses, and they listened and all that. To get some ideas. We're going to be giving out 25 awards at this conference. 10 of those are going to be to companies for improving their sustainability. The other ones will be going to companies that have actually implemented those ideas. And so we're really excited about that. In addition to that, what's more exciting is the fact that we have a number of minority companies that have gotten into the groove, so to speak, and they're going to be getting awards, and women-owned companies that are going to be getting awards. So we're seeing across the board that instead of just the big companies, we're seeing MBEs and WBEs getting it, and they're going to be recognized at this event. So that's really important, and that's a large increase from what we had last year.
Excellent, excellent. Again, this is June 10th over at the Centos Center. What time does it start?
Starts at
8 o'clock until 5 o'clock. It's a full day event.
Okay. And then the luncheon.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's where you're going to MC.
That's where I'm coming. When you said 8 o'clock, I said, oh, that'll be a long day.
No, you get to come in and MC the awards.
Is the awards program.
Yes.
I look forward to being a part of it again. So again, this is June 10th at the Centos. It's the Midwest Sustainability Summit, and then Cincinnati Small Business Awards.
Right.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. We'll be back in a moment. Well, again, a packed program, a lot going on. Don't forget the Crown Jewels program with Kathy Wade. It will begin this week, actually, June 1st, and a lot of other things going on. I'm Courtis Fuller. Have a nice week.